doing? Welcome to another episode of CRASHTON Talks. This is like episode 31 or 32, something like that. It's been a few years since I recorded an episode of the show. Basically I went away, I've had a couple of kids, and I've been busy doing other stuff in music as well. But I've been keen to kind of get back doing this. So yeah, I've actually recorded like 4 or 5 different episodes of this episode, and through that time I've had like a recording studio where I recorded some episodes and just have never done anything with them and all that stuff, and I've just been desperate to get back doing it. There's some people that I want to interview, and there's just a lot to kind of talk about as well. So yeah, welcome back. To start off, I wanted to talk a little bit about the last episode that I've done, which is with a guy called Matt Muehling. Matt's a guitarist based in Austin, Texas, in America, obviously, if you're familiar with America, because it's a place that exists and it's also one of the weirdest places on the planet. But Matt, he's a guitarist, and he plays on a show called Kill Tony, and at the time I had been watching Kill Tony for like a couple of years, really enjoyed it, and I think through the pandemic the show had moved from like California to Texas, and it really drastically kind of changed in that time. Just some of the kind of format had changed in the show, and I was really keen to interview Matt because the way that the band was structured on that show before was like a kind of comedic thing, and the guys would dress up, and then this other band came in Austin, Texas, and they were like a really, you know, not to shoot the other band down, but they were like a really credible band, quite capable of just pulling any song out of the hat, and reminded me a lot of the kind of musicians that I'd been playing with over the past 10 years. Like playing in a wedding band, you come across these guys that are just, they're able to just pick up songs by ear, and they can, you know, you tell them like, let's play this song, but play it in A, and they'll be able to switch up. And I just noticed when I was watching the show that I was paying a lot more attention to what the band were doing, and I was just really into it. So it was quite cool at the time to get an opportunity to interview Matt, because again at that time they had just kind of joined the show, it was really fresh. I think even at that time I was the first person to interview him, and which was awesome. But now it's pretty crazy, because for anyone who knows Kill Tony, like, it's just became this massive thing. I mean, they've got Netflix specials, like multiple Netflix specials every year. They play like Madison Square Garden once or twice a year, and every week, they record a show in Joe Rogan's comedy club in Austin, Texas. So like it's really just completely blown up, and it's been crazy to like witness that. So yeah, it was pretty nuts that was the last episode, and I've kind of felt this feeling of like really wanting to get back to it, and also knowing that like, or feeling at least that because that was the last episode, I wanted to do something that was like a step up and interview someone else that was like, you know what I mean, like in the industry, and like just your head does all this stuff. It's like trying to make it as a singer. You want your next release to be like better than the last one. And then, to be honest, that kind of like, I heard a phrase recently, and it's like something paralysis, and that's what decision paralysis or something like that, and that's kind of like how I feel about this. Is like, it became such an overwhelming experience that like I actually just became paralysed by it, rather than like being able to roll with it. That's been an ongoing thing in my whole music career, is like something cool will happen. You get to open for Wet Wet Wet, you get to open for Lewis Capaldi, you get to like go on tour with this band, you get to play this festival in this country in the world, and then not knowing how to hold the reins of success. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of people that are like that. They're like super talented and they've got all the things going for them, but they just don't know how to ride the waves of success. And I'm actually just like sick of thinking like that. I'm sick of not like just being appreciative of what happens in the moment. Even like having my studio, like being annoyed at myself that I had this cool podcast studio that I didn't like record more episodes on and take advantage of. And then it's like, well, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, I'm currently in my old bedroom at my mum's house recording this episode, even though I've got a recording space in my actual house and all that stuff. I just wanted to come here and just record it, because to me it's about the quality of the content, and not, it doesn't need to be in this cool recording studio or all of that stuff. And even the guests, like, one of the things that I enjoyed about doing the show before was that it wasn't just like all these famous people and stuff, that it was actually like people that I know in the industry that are actively working in it. Because to me that's like the most interesting part, is you can look at like a Lewis Capaldi or a Wet Wet Wet, and that's a pillar for a lot of people of like success, but not a lot of people like think about the fact that a career in music can be maintained by like just being like a professional musician, you know, like Matt from Kiltony. Like, he's not a world famous guitar player, but he's very much employed, and probably makes good money doing what he's doing. And that, I think, something that could be documented in like CRASHTON Talks is taking a look at those people who are maintaining like a professional job in the industry, and it not have to be like, I'm a super famous guy, or I've got these accolades and all that. Like, those are cool, but they're not the reason that most musicians get up in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, when you get to a certain level where you're working so much that it becomes like working in a factory. You know what I mean? There's days where you love it, days where you hate it, and it's also a sustainability, a recognition of the effort that you've put in, like, over those years of honing your craft, but at the same time still cushioning you with like a wage, and you're able to feed your family and do things, have a social life as well. Like, that's been a big thing for me, is like, recently I took my oldest boy out with my cousin and his kids, and we were just like out fishing in the wilderness, and it was just super cool. Like, I hadn't done anything like that in a very long time, and I said to him in that moment, I was like, sometimes I forget like life is actually about this. Like, it doesn't need to be about like career all the time or making money and all that stuff. Sometimes it can just be about like enjoying the time that you have and outside. Like, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but I get to a point sometimes where I convince myself that all I am is that. All I am is like trying to get money and get more cool musician jobs and all that. And it's hard because you're kind of bound to this thing that you've decided is you, and this thing that you've decided is your career. Like, so much so, in fact, like, it's even more ironic with myself. Like, my stage name is Chris Ashton, but that's not my actual name. Like, I won't say it on here. It won't be hard for people to figure it out. But like, essentially, when I was like 16, 17, just decided that I was this thing. I was this guy that I was going to go out and do music as, because I don't think I was very comfortable performing under my real name and stuff. So, like, I don't know. Like, I think that's maybe like another thing about the music industry is, you know, like record labels, the way that the industry used to be set up was like presenting, you would see this final product, like even as just being young kids playing guitars, as we would see like a Blink 182, and it's presented to you, here's Blink 182, or here's Green Day, here's like, even think of like bands that you probably don't think of as being like that, but like Metallica, and you think, oh, they're cool and they're edgy and they have all these things going for them, because you're being like presented this final product, but you don't see like the whole like journey and how hard it is to get there. And I think what like I made the mistake of doing, and probably what a lot of kids now are doing, because especially like TikTok and Instagram and stuff, is that you end up trying to like model yourself after these final products. So like, record labels actually don't have much work to do now, because think about like a young female singer, right? And she's grown up listening to like Beyonce and Adele and all the like iconic singers, Whitney Houston and all that stuff. She is probably going to model herself on those people, right? Which is a final product for a record label. Like an Adele, like peak Adele, when she put out 30, that's presented to the world as this like thing that's tangible. And a young female singer will think, right, well, all I have to do is like wear a fancy dress, stand there, sing. Maybe Adele's not the best example, actually. Adele's like a very credible pop singer, right? But like, I don't know, maybe Sabrina Carpenter. It's not to take anything away from her, I don't know anything about her, right? But to me, there's very much like an industry thing behind her, right? Just dance routines, outfit changes, stage props, all of that stuff. Young singers will like model themselves after that. So like by the time a record label's coming in now, there's not much for them to do, because those people are already thinking in that realm of like, well, if I'm going to be a singer, I need to have like the outfit changes and the hairstyle and the all the stuff that record labels present, and I fell into that trap as well. Like all of my favourite bands, that there's a level of that to them. They've reached that level of success where they went through, made all the mistakes, and now they're presenting themselves, whether they've got the right haircuts or the coolest clothes, the coolest guitars and all that stuff. And so when I created my band, especially like Fluorescent Hearts, like we did have some sort of like financial involvement eventually, right? But even at the very start when we didn't, people thought we did, because we were presenting it the way that we looked at other bands, and we waited like a year and a half before we actually done our first gig and built up some momentum, because we were trying to like present ourselves as this thing that was already signed. And I think in some ways that kind of was a bit of a detriment to us, at least at that time, because I think record labels were less likely to look at us at that time, because then they couldn't mould us into what they wanted us to be. But now, yeah, being in my 30s, like I'm tired of that. I want to make music that I want to make. I want to do the kind of gigs that I want to do, whether it's cover gigs, original gigs, and it's the same with this. Like I want it to just be an authentic thing that I go out and do, and it's a representation of something that I do and enjoy, and whether people like it or not is besides the point. Which, weirdly, on that note, another reason that like I wanted to do this again is because like every week I'm getting these emails from the distribution company that my podcast is out on, and I'm getting downloads on the episodes. Like it's not a lot, it's like maybe like 25, 30 downloads like every week, but it's enough for me to be like, that's an audience, you know what I mean? That's like, it's like 100 listens every month, and I'm not actively doing anything at all. So there's people there that want content, at least, or appear to want content. Like I might as well put something out, see how it goes, and yeah, and just enjoy it. So I'll keep this one short, and I plan on interviewing some people. I'll try and keep it like around my friends at first, and then we'll move on to some other folk that I'm interested in, and maybe even if some people are commenting, like leave a comment of who you would like me to interview, if you want to do that. If you don't want, you're not obligated to do anything, to be honest. Nobody's ever obligated to comment, so I take back what I said. Don't leave a comment. But yeah, if you feel obliged to live your life, keep living, keep breathing, and yeah, enjoy yourself. See you soon.